Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I think that no country should be poor if it has a lot of oil, gas or grain. Those countries that have this problem, which is wealth, this kind of wealth, necessary wealth that they have, right? In the soil, or as I said, grains and crops, and they're poor, there's a problem with the government. Or you have a big boss somewhere that prevents you from delivering those goods that everyone else needs. And this case is shared, or part of this case is Venezuela. Venezuela has a lot of oil and is somehow restricted by another country and prevented from selling its oil to the rest of the world. And how do you call this? As I always say, put this in the context of a neighborhood or a city and see, you would call that person many negative names. All right, so let's see what's going on here. This article comes from Sputnik and it's from 11th of November 2022. This is the title. US looking at Venezuela for crude supply but not blanket sanctions relief, source says. So these guys who actually dictate how much oil you sell and how much money you can get, somehow, I don't know how in the hell they dictate that, who are they, but anyway, they say, well, now we need your oil and we're going to allow you to sell us or give us the oil. We're going to extract it for you, okay? But we're not going to lift the sanctions. We're not going to lift them. What is going on here? Is Venezuela the 51st state of the United States of America or what? Well, let's see. The Biden administration is looking at Venezuela as an additional source for crude oil, but has no intention of a blanket lifting of sanctions, source told Sputnik. The Biden administration hopes to lower gasoline prices in the United States consumers following production cuts made by the Saudi-led OPEC Plus group to stabilize the global market. The United States, according to people familiar with the matter, has no intention of a blanket lifting of sanctions on Venezuela. However, a recalibration of policy towards private sector firms may allow them to recover debt owned by Venezuelan state oil company PDVSA, which President Nicolas Maduro appears willing to do. Now that company, state-owned, PDVSA, owes some debt, right? Owes some money to someone. Now, we find out that this PDVSA, the company, stopped payments to creditors in 2017. And you say, why? I mean, that's not fair. After it was subject to US sanctions. What do you expect? So you place sanctions on me and you want me to do what? Keep my part of the bargain here? No, I won't. And therefore you have this situation. The US is also concerned about dependence on Venezuela's refineries, especially El Palito, on Iranian heavy crude. Since May 2022, Iran has exported 6.8 million barrels of its heavy crude to Venezuela's refineries. So the Iranians crossed the Atlantic somehow and they went to Venezuela to have Venezuela refine the crude oil and then distribute it to where? To South America? I don't think it comes back on the freaking market, does it? Why don't you, as Iran, just build some freaking refineries? A policy adjustment could allow Venezuela to import much needed diluent supply for extra, something that dilutes, that's the word. My pronunciation is bad. Supply for extra heavy oil production from the US Gulf Coast, which would pivot Venezuela away from Iran, as well as increase the transparency of these shipments, according to the source. Really? So they're just gonna take over. I'm pretty sure that if the government, Maduro's government in Venezuela, will allow US to loot at will, like they do in Syria right now, that would be perfect, and we'll be friends, and Maduro will be invited in the White House, and so on. We'll talk with Kamala. I don't know if he's into that, but anyway, if you know what I mean. So, talks about a possible thaw in US-Venezuela relations come amid reports that the Venezuelan opposition appears ready to oust interim government opposition leader Juan Guaido, and the United States has indicated it would not interfere in the process. Maduro's government and the country's opposition plan to resume talks in Mexico later this month that will reportedly focus on conditions for a presidential election in Venezuela. That won't happen. Do you think Maduro is going to release the power? He's going to be dead the next day. Or not the next day. He's going to be dead soon. Because once he's, let's say, ousted, democratic process or whatever process, he's going to be taken out, he's going to be indicted, charged, convicted, and it happened before. So Maduro, don't be an idiot. That's my advice. And it happened before. I'm not rooting for Maduro, but this is what's going to happen to Maduro. And regarding Guaido, he's just a puppet, like Zelensky, Zelenstein. They're just what's her name is? Zelensky, whatever his name is. He's just a puppet. That's what he is. Puppet of the Americans, and the same with Guaido. When they don't need you, they're going to bring another shit with a different face. I mean, the same kind of shitty person with a different face. I told you that story with one of my employees when I came to the States. You know, I was employed somewhere, and this it was the owner of the business. He was getting people back who were calling in, and he was firing them, or they were quitting. And then when they came back after a few days, he was rehiring them. And I said, why do you do this? I mean, that person's a piece of shit. But I was with a mentality, a different mentality, and I was like, what? This is a piece of shit. Why do you hire this guy back? He should not work again for you. He left you. He did this. He did this. And he said, well, you know what? He was drinking Coca-Cola with ice in a foam cup. And he said, you see this? All right, so this, I think he put it on the table, or I can't remember exactly. I said, you see, this is the face of the shit that left me. If I go and I hire someone else, turn around the cup and said, it's going to be the same shit with a different face, but I don't know that guy. At least this shit that I'm hiring back, I already know his life and his shit. So I know how to, you know, but if I bring another one, it's going to take some time. I say, well, why do you hire shits? Well, people of character will not really stay long here. Well, that's why I was out soon, but I like the guy and I'm still friends with him. But this was a life story that stuck with me, and I was like, really? Yeah. And then I worked another job, and the other owner told me, Emil, think of these guys as machines, as tools. That's why they're tools. And when a tool breaks down, you don't repair it. Throw it away and you get a new tool. That's another employee. That's what his story. You're just tools. I was just a tool there. But anyway, you learn and you think, what the hell is going on in this world? No human capital, no nothing. Well, it allows you to be free and have your own, be the master of your own decisions, which is great. But then don't expect someone else to pick up the shit that you dropped. But they do, because there is someone called government who's going to take from other people, is going to give you to these people. unfortunately. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.